if you are a customer experience professional looking to increase the effectiveness and the efficiency of your customer experience efforts, then make sure you stay tuned, because we have got a legend with us today, and that is Steve Towers, and he's going to talk to us about the power of outside in.
You're listening to Rockstar CX.
We've got the legend Steve Towers with us today. All right, we're going to talk to him in a little moment. He's going to talk to us about the power of outside-in thinking and how using outside-in thinking can really affect your customer experience. I think it's about time that we introduce our
Customer Experience Rockstar.
Those of you that don't know Steve is a legend in the game when it comes to business process management, when it comes to customer experience management, when it comes to transformation of companies. He is the top of the pile. So he's widely recognized as one of the world's top thought leaders in this. He's wrote a load of books on the subject. He's got loads of awards for being a business guru as well. He's retained by some of the world's top companies to help with their customer-centric transformations. Now, just before we get to Steve, I just want to say a massive thank you to www.rockstar.cx. If you are interested in customer experience improvement training or consultancy, if you're interested in customer-centric culture transformation, and if you're interested in the ultimate rockstar team building experience, then go to
www.rockstar.cx.
Massive welcome to Steve. How are you doing?
I'm doing really cool. Thanks, James.
You are welcome. So where are you calling us from today?
I'm in, well, not so sunny Colorado this morning. It's snowing like Billy O.
Snowy Colorado.
Yes, snowy Colorado.
Cool. So look, we're talking about outside-in thinking today, something that is basically around the world. You are known as the top guy when it comes to outside-in thinking. So really, for guys out there who don't know what outside-in is, can you tell them what outside-in is and what are the main benefits they can achieve?
Okay, right, in a nutshell, outside-in thinking, taking a completely different perspective on how you're doing business so that everything that you're doing is aligned to delivering successful customer outcomes. Traditionally, people have looked at things about what they're doing, and with outside-in thinking, what we do is we look at the results we deliver, and we make sure, simply put, everything that we're doing, technology, people, processes, everything is aligned to delivering the successful customer outcome.
Okay, and like if we were to think of sort of archetypal companies that are outside-in companies, who are the sorts of people that you'd advise us to look at?
Okay, it's really obvious to us as consumers who are the outside-in companies. So it's like a list of the usual suspects. There's the Apples, the Amazons, Googles to a certain extent. They're on the technology side. If you're thinking about travel side, you've got people like Emirates and Southwest. Now, the experience to you and I as a consumer is really obvious when we see outside in, but to those companies who are not practicing it, it's like counterintuitive. You know, why would I focus on customer success when I should be focusing on the bottom line? But the real cool thing is, as we all know, those very successful companies, because they are focusing on customer success, deliver terrific bottom lines and terrific shareholder value.
Okay, so like, what are the main things they're doing differently to other companies?
Okay, I suppose the shift in perspective is the one to talk about. Is if you're thinking about what traditional companies do, they're organized in functional specialist silos, and they're oriented around what they're doing. So answering the phone, issuing accounts, taking on new customers and things like that. If you're an outside-in company, what you start to do is you start to think about, well, what are the real needs of customers, rather than what do I need to do to service them, but what are their real needs? And if we can articulate those in a substantive way, so not in a soft and fluffy, yeah, they want to be happy, but a real substantive way, like I'm going to meet this need, then what you can do is you can make sure that everybody who's in the organization aligns to delivering against those needs. So it's that shift in perspective, outside in, if you want to call it, really is all about thinking about needs rather than wants. It's about thinking about, rather than what we do, it's what we deliver. So there are those substantial things that really make a difference.
Let's say people watching this are thinking, that sounds pretty cool. Outside in sounds like a good way to go, but I don't really know where to start. What advice would you give them?
Oh, that's such a I think so many people sort of ask that question in conferences, and they ask the question when you're working with them, where do you start? And ultimately, you don't have a choice. You've got to start where you are. And what I would suggest is that you start looking at things not less so from a process point of view, but more from a customer experience point of view. And I came to this, what was it, 1997, when Steve Jobs said the customer experience is the process. And I thought, yeah, gee, I get that. But do we really get that, or are we just content to be doing what we've always done and get better at it? If you really think about that, it means that whatever you're doing, if you look at it from the customer needs perspective and what success for a customer looks like, you can look at everything you're doing every day and saying, is this contributing to that success or not? And if it isn't, potentially that's dumb stuff in today's context, and you could stop doing it. As easy as that.
Okay, so I mean, where did the concept originally come from of outside in?
Well, I think as with all these things, you can notice certain points in time, certain people and organizations talking about this stuff. And we all know, many of us have got Apple products. I think I'm talking to you through one of them at the moment. And they really made a shift away from being product centric and focusing on getting better at building computers and things like that, to actually sort of saying, what is the need of the customer? What do they need to do? So I think Apple were one of the forerunners of it, quickly followed by technology companies like Amazon. And if you go and have that Amazon experience and you're a Prime customer wherever you are in the world, that screen that you're looking at is customized to your needs. It's very much focused on what you previously have achieved and intuitively what you might be wanting to achieve. If you think about airlines, and the sort of move is classically, if you were a passenger, and you said to the airline, where does your process start and where does it end? You come up with, it could be any of the big carriers, American, British Airways, KLM, people like that. They would say, well, our processes really start when somebody buys a ticket, and it's over when they actually get the bag off the carousel. Now, that's fine, but if you've got a big problem in losing bags, which airlines do, it's a systemic problem because we all arrive at the airport at the same time and leave at the same time, so bags are jostling for position. They'll try and fix that lost bag problem, that misdirected bag problem, within the constraints of the ticket to the carousel. But hey, guys like Southwest Airlines said, look, if what Jobs said, the customer experience is the process, is true, doesn't that experience really start when you've got a need to travel, and it ain't over until you've actually arrived back home again? And in that context, can we look at this lost bag problem in a different way? So in doing that, for instance, cutting a long story short, in doing that, they noticed that one of the things we do with bags is when we're checking out of the hotel, is take them with us for the day before we catch the plane at night. But they figured out, wouldn't it be cool if you checked in your bags? And what that allowed them to do by addressing the need and the successful outcome from a customer's perspective is pick the bags up early, inject them into baggage handling when it was quiet, later in the morning and during the afternoon. And then also from a customer point of view, having issued the ticket to you, you can go straight through to security. Now that simple shift in emphasis, that looking at things outside in, delivers great benefits for organizations. And it's all about, we call it winning the Triple Crown, which sounds like another one of those soft and fluffy things, but it's not. It's simultaneously taking away costs, growing your revenues, and boosting your customer satisfaction. So that's a couple of good examples, but there are many. And, I'm pleased to say that in terms of organizations that we're working with, doesn't matter where you start, it's getting on the journey. As you get on the journey, you build outwards, you go upstream and downstream. You'll begin to take people with you because they'll see the benefit of work simplification, efficiency, effectiveness improvement. So some of those things that were tried to be got through production line industrial age thinking, but now they're delivered as a central part of being able to be outside in.
Why is it that traditional sort of mindsets and methodologies wouldn't get you to that place?
Okay, that's a great question. The traditional mindset, there's a temptation here to diss the past, but that's not what this is about. Is what we have to recall is that we were organized. I'm saying we, myself as well. I was an industrial engineer back in the midst of time, but we were organized around what we did rather than what we delivered. And when you organize around what you do, you end up putting yourself into functional specialist silos. So classically, sales and marketing, operations, customer service, accounts, finance, all that sort of stuff. And we get better at doing those things within those functions. Outside-in companies, on the other hand, organize themselves around that principle of delivering a successful customer outcome. So what sort of team structures do we need to be able to do that? So in terms of if you looked at how organizations are structured, the outside-in companies are just not in pyramids anymore, which are organized around command and control, or even in matrices. They're organized around, right, the customer is the center front, it's everything that we do. And if what you're doing doesn't contribute to customer success, wherever you are in the organization, then you should not be doing it. So the big shift is being from industrial age, inside out, silo thinking, to looking at it from a customer centric outside in perspective.
Okay, so let's say I'm sold and I want to turn my company outside in. What do you think the biggest challenges I'm going to face along the way would be?
Well, that's a great question, because you'd think one of the biggest challenges is going to be our IT systems, it's going to be our processes, it's going to be our structure and so on like that. The biggest challenge is the mindset. It's what's going on up here. And somebody told me once upon a time, it's a little bit like stepping into a room of flatlanders. So those guys who think the earth is still flat, and you say, oh, gee, no, it's not flat, it's round. It is round, you can see it, it's round. And immediately all those flatlanders will look out the window and they'll go, no, it's still flat. But the realization is it's not happening out there, it's happening up here. It's how you think about stuff. So the mindset piece is key and critical. And when people start to talk about the concepts and they get it, they can then begin to orient the work that they do within the context of industrial specialist silos. They can begin to move outside in. So the cool thing is that you don't have to, buy the religion. You don't have to become a zealot and an evangelist about it. What you can start doing is thinking about, what are the needs of my customer? Am I delivering success to them when we articulate those? And sometimes even customers themselves just don't know what those needs are. So you've got to get really clever at figuring out what are the customer needs, and then take your colleagues with you on that journey to begin to think outside in.
Okay, so I mean, what about the people that say, well, I don't have customers, I'm in finance, I don't have customers. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's a good point as well, isn't it? Because I think if you look at any classic organizations, 95% of us would say we're not customer facing. We're involved in support functions that support people who actually deliver to customers. And that's a very valid point. But again, that is just a mindset thing. Is we shouldn't ought to be doing anything in our organizations which doesn't deliver and contribute to customer success. So if you want to connect the dots, and of course we've got mechanisms that have evolved over the last decade or so to actually connect every single task and activity right the way through to this successful customer outcome. So you can see, for instance, if you're in finance and you're just moving the money around and managing budgets and stuff, you can actually tangibly see what you're doing connects with customer success. And the interesting thing, there is the rub. If you can't, perhaps you shouldn't ought to be doing what you're doing. Perhaps the organization doesn't need that capacity and capability anymore, and perhaps we can better direct your energies towards delivering successful customer outcomes.
Okay. So, I mean, talking about successful customer outcomes a lot, how would you define the successful customer outcome?
Oh, gee, you put me on the spot there now. We have a mechanism for actually figuring it out, but the culmination of a successful customer outcome is a set of needs which are broken down and are objective. And we use that old acronym SMART: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And what that does is produces a set of measures which tell us is everything we're doing contributing to delivering the SCO. You can summarize the SCO as well, and car companies, if you're thinking about guys like BMW, they've got a summary which is one word which sounds a bit sort of marketing and fluffy to start off with, called joy. And you go, oh gee, yeah, we're all into joy, but is factually everything you're doing contributing to the metrics that make up joy, regardless of what you want to buy and how you want to actually interact with the product? Is everything you're doing contributing to the customer experiencing joy? Other companies, I think Emirates have a good kicker. They say they're in the business of beyond tomorrow. Yeah, they fly in aeroplanes to do it and take you on a journey, but they want to get you beyond tomorrow. So those phrases, which previously might have been thought of marketing platitudes, missiony, visiony things, all soft and fluffy, are backed up by a set of very hard metrics which inform everything that the organization should be doing to deliver them.
Let's say some people are listening to this and they go, oh, God, I wish I would have known about this earlier. I wish I'd have thought this way before starting out on what I'm currently doing. Let's say they've got some projects and programs that are running already, and maybe they're not delivering the way that they should. What advice would you give to those people on how they can sort of steer the direction a little bit to try and get a little bit more success out of them?
Okay, it really starts with yourself, and it goes back to that sort of thing we just covered a few minutes ago, which is where should you start, perhaps. Start with yourself. Who is my customer? What am I about in terms of what am I delivering? Not just what am I doing, what am I doing at a day-to-day level, but who is my customer? And am I articulated in terms of what I'm doing? And it could be an internal customer. So, let's not get highfalutin. It's not necessarily the people who give us the money that pays our salaries. It could be another internal department. But do we really understand their needs? Or have we just gone out and asked them essentially what they want? Because there's a good story there. If you ask your kids what they wanted for dinner, what they're going to say? They're going to say, well, pizza, gummy bears, ice cream. They're going to go crazy stuff like that. So you and I, as parents, adults, grandparents, all that sort of stuff, we know that simply wouldn't be the right thing to do. We grew up with kids who'd have diabetes and obesity and so on like that. We know what they need. And of course, that's going to be something which involves green vegetables and things like that. You might give them a treat and so on. Same happens with our customers, whether they're internal or external. Don't go and ask them what they want, because they're going to tell you. And if you deliver it at the end, you're part of the problem. You've really got to figure out what they need. Now that means you have to listen to customers, and not just voice of customer, it's needs of customer. You've got to go beyond what they say they want and figure that and articulate it. So if you're in that situation, say you're an IT department and you're having to deliver systems to another part of the organization, have you gone out and just done like a business requirements thing and asked them what they want? Have you actually figured out what they need in business terms to deliver success for their customers? And then progressively move that scenario out and educate people by the doing of it. Don't try to evangelize the theory of this, because there's a ton of theory as well. Just actually start doing it in your day-to-day work, and you will inspire your colleagues around you to say, gee, how are you managing to do that so quickly in such an effective way? What was it you're doing? Is it magic? And you go, no, it's outside in.
Okay, that sounds good. So look, where can people keep in touch with you?
Okay, I'm all over the place. There's some links that you're providing. So, get in touch on LinkedIn. I think, what is it? There's about 18,000 of us there all together on LinkedIn talking about this subject. Get in touch on Twitter, obviously emails. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Ping me, get in touch, and love to carry on the conversation.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Steve. So look, massive thanks for Steve being on the show today. He is this week's customer experience rockstar. Thank you for watching and commenting and liking and sharing. Thank you so much for that. And until next time, keep rocking.
You've been tuned into Rockstar CX. Like, comment, share, and subscribe.